Today, confirmation the unnamed former politician accused of aiding foreign spies was recruited while serving an Australian parliament. Also coming up, Labor wins in Dunley with Jody Bellier to become the newest federal MP.
I'm not a career politician. I'm someone who wants to make a difference for this great community and further afield.
US officials report Israel has agreed to terms of a ceasefire in Gaza, with talks set to continue in Egypt. And the 2024 NRL season kicks off in style under the bright lights of Vegas. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Meredith Sheehan. Our top stories in a moment, but first, an emergency bushfire warning has been issued for a blaze burning on Tasmania's northwest coast. The out-of-control bushfire at Port Latta is impacting Crayfish Creek, Amaroo Drive and surrounds. Authorities say the fire poses an extreme risk. Nearby residents are warned they can defend their homes if the property is up to bushfire standards and they're prepared. If unprepared, residents should leave for a safe location. An evacuation centre has been set up at Rocky Cape Community Hall. A former politician accused of helping an international spy ring was recruited while serving as a member of an Australian parliament. The boss of Australia's Domestic Intelligence Agency revealed last week that a foreign spy group cultivated and recruited a now former politician. A few more details have since been revealed about this person. Political reporter Stephanie Burris has the latest.
Every year, the boss of Australia's domestic spy agency, that's ASIO, gives this annual threat assessment and sort of runs through the state of play here in Australia. And one of the stories that Mike Burgess put forward and told the Australian public was the fact that there was this international spy ring operating here in Australia. ASIO spies had dubbed this team the A-Team, and basically what they were doing was recruiting academics, business people, law enforcement officers to try and gain information about Australia, but they also did successfully recruit a now former politician. We were told that this politician was recruited by this group of international spies, and that also this person had tried to get a relative of a particular Prime Minister essentially brought into the orbit of this spy ring, but that part wasn't successful. Now, at the time when Mike Burgess gave this speech last week, he didn't provide any details about who this person was, only to say that they were now a former politician. But we've since had confirmation from Mike Burgess that this person, while they're a former politician now, they were actually a serving member of an Australian parliament when they were recruited and when they were helping this international spy ring. Mike Burgess wouldn't say still which party this person is affiliated with or even what level of government they were working for, but he also did confirm that this was all occurring before 2018.
Labor has retained the federal Victorian seat of Dunley despite suffering a 4% swing against the party. The coalition claims the result shows it is well placed to win for Labor to win seats at the next general election. Reporter Bridget Rollison has the details from Melbourne.
Well, Labor's Jody Bellier will be the next federal MP after fighting off a challenge from the local mayor and Liberal candidate Nathan Conroy to be the next member for Dunley, which is a federal seat here in Victoria, which takes in areas like Frankston and Carrum Downs. Now, the Liberal Party did achieve a 4% swing towards the party. However, the Labor Party is seeing this win as vindication for Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and his Stage 3 tax cuts. The cost of living was definitely the biggest issue here for voters throughout this by-election campaign. And the new member for Dunley, Jody Bellier, fought hard on that. She says she's looking forward to being a strong local voice for Dunley. She's also thrilled to be building on the legacy of former MP Peter Murphy, who sadly passed away with a battle from cancer last year. Now, she was a very popular member here, and she's the reason why we had this by-election yesterday.
I'm not a career politician. I'm someone who wants to make a difference for this great community and further afield. And I'm now going to be your strong local voice in Canberra. Thank you for supporting me and giving me the opportunity to represent you in federal parliament. From the Frankston Hospital upgrade to the Medicare Urgent Care Clinic, from the Hall Road upgrade, I said I would be a strong, passionate local voice for Dunkley. And that is exactly what I will do, because I am Frankston tough.
Well, the Liberal Party managed to achieve an almost 4% swing towards the party. Opposition leader Peter Dutton was hoping to make this by-election a referendum on Anthony Albanese and his performance, as well as the cost of living, saying he wasn't doing enough for Victorians to ease those cost of living pressures. The Liberal Party was able to claw back some votes that it lost at the last election after people turned away from the Liberal Party because of Scott Morrison's leadership.
Although the result didn't go our way tonight, it is a great opportunity to highlight the big swing that we had, both on primary and two-party preferred, because the next election, we are coming for Albanese and his government.
Now, these are exactly the type of seats that opposition leader Peter Dutton is targeting, these outer suburban seats as part of his strategy to win the next election. But the Liberal Party today is celebrating this still as a win for them, despite losing the seat of Dunkley. They say that this sends a strong message to Anthony Albanese and are happy that the seat is now marginal.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese travelled to Frankston today to congratulate Jodie Bellier.
Jodie Bellier is Frankston tough, as she said last night. She's someone who's absolutely passionate about representing this community, and I want to thank Jodie, but also all of the volunteers and her campaign team who worked so hard to make sure that she can carry on and build on the legacy that the late Peter Murphy provided over an all too short time in being the member for Dunkley. Last night was a moment to reflect on Peter Murphy, and for Rod, I spoke to Rod earlier in the night, her husband and life partner for many decades. And so it was a difficult period. But I know that Jodie will be, just as Peter Murphy was, a strong advocate for this local community.
A senior US official says the framework for a 6-week pause in the Israel-Gaza war is in place with Israel's agreement and is now dependent on Hamas agreeing to release hostages. Mediators are reportedly reconvening later to continue work on the ceasefire agreement, with delegations from both sides expected to meet in Cairo in the coming hours. It was feared that an incident on Thursday, where more than 100 Palestinians seeking aid were killed, would derail the talks. There were mediation attempts last week by Qatar and Egypt and US President Joe Biden, which indicated that a ceasefire agreement is close. The US has for the first time carried out an airdrop of aid into Gaza using 3 military cargo planes. It comes as UN representatives visiting a hospital in the territory found many of the Palestinians who were injured as they crowded around an aid convoy had suffered bullet wounds.
How were so many people injured? Were they shot or crushed in a desperate stampede? At Gaza's Shifa hospital, the UN says there's evidence of both.
This hospital is treating more than 200 people that were injured. We have seen people with gunshot wounds, we have seen amputees, and we have seen children as young as 12.
Jihad is haunted by what he saw when the convoy arrived on Thursday morning. Were the soldiers firing deliberately, he's asked? Yes, with tanks, soldiers, aircraft. Why the shooting started is still not clear. Israel says troops felt threatened. How, these pictures do not show. Tanks were present. There's no evidence of aircraft being involved. The UN finally reached Gaza City yesterday, taking badly needed fuel and medicine to Shifa Hospital, demanding Israel do more to open up the north. Today, the first airdrops by American planes, 35,000 meals. But these are desperate measures. Airdrops, no substitute for proper relief.
No matter where we go into North Gaza from, or indeed all of the Gaza Strip. It could be from air, land, sea. It doesn't matter as long as there's enough aid to help the more than 2 million people here.
Israel's closest allies are now sounding increasingly openly frustrated.
Aid flowing to Gaza is nowhere nearly enough. Now it's nowhere nearly enough.
The president wants a ceasefire, but in Rafah this morning, dreadful scenes outside a maternity hospital, some images too shocking to broadcast. Gaza's health ministry said this was an airstrike, the Israeli military yet to comment. But is a ceasefire deal getting close? As the families and friends of Israeli hostages march on Jerusalem, there's talk of a fresh round of negotiations in Cairo tomorrow.
8 people have been charged after allegedly attempting to approach the New South Wales Premier Chris Minns during last night's Mardi Gras parade. 9 pro-Palestinian protesters were arrested for disrupting the parade, and 8 have since been charged with using violence to cause fear. They have all been granted conditional bail and will face court later this month. Despite the interruption, New South Wales Police praised the community, saying most were well behaved. As the popularity of vaping has soared, so too has the demand for support services. New figures show a sharp rise in the number of Queenslanders seeking advice on how to quit vaping, with some patients as young as 12 years old.
Nicotine vapes have some kids hooked. Rising demand for help to quit made this addiction expert open a vaping cessation clinic.
The kids have significant symptoms of withdrawal, really severe symptoms. They have become anxious, distressed, upset, stressed.
Since opening the clinic 6 months ago, dozens have poured through its doors.
The youngest I've seen is a young girl who started at 10. This is not, I understand, unusual.
Quitline has recorded more than 1,200 calls from people who have vaped since August 2022. The youngest caller was 13. Until a month ago, Josh had vaped nearly every day for 7 years.
It's probably the addiction that I refused to accept for a while, that it was an addiction. You can just vape anyway, so you can be laid in bed at night and you can fall asleep with it in your mouth like a pacifier for a baby.
To help her clients, Professor Batoon measures the amount of nicotine in their system.
But you've got high levels all the way through, meaning you're up there.
She's among a field of researchers studying quitting methods.
We found that nearly 2/3 of our sample had actually made a quit attempt in the past 12 months. The majority had tried quitting vaping using the cold turkey method, so just stopping altogether. But they're still vaping, so they're still having difficulties.
The federal government has recently banned the importation of disposable nicotine vapes and is expected to bring in reforms requiring prescription vapes to only taste of tobacco, to contain less nicotine and to adopt plain packaging.
And I didn't want to be one of those people on the packages of what it looks like when you've vaped for 40 years.
Antonia O'Flaherty, ABC News.
Meningococcal B infections are on the rise in Australia, with 100 cases recorded last year. While a vaccine for the deadly disease is available, only 2 states offer it to all babies and teenagers.
Do you want strawberries?
Yeah. Aliana was born in 2015, 3 years before babies and teenagers were routinely vaccinated for meningococcal strains A, C, W and Y. But even if she had been vaccinated, it wouldn't have helped, because at 13 weeks old, Aliana contracted meningococcal B.
She had a very big fight for life. Basically, Aliana, all she knew was hospital from 13 weeks old.
A vaccination for the B strain of meningococcal isn't on the national vaccine schedule, although it was recommended by the federal vaccine advisory body ATAGI back in 2014. The South Australian government went ahead and added it to their schedule in 2018, as did Queensland in 2023. But the rest of the country is yet to catch up, and cases are on the rise.
In 2023, we saw 10% more cases than the year prior.
There were 112 cases in Australia last year, which doesn't seem like a lot. But 1 in 10 people who contract the disease will die, and a quarter will end up with a permanent disability, like Aliana.
There's been the acquired brain injury, I guess the neurodiversity struggles that come from it, the muscle struggles, the emotional disturbances.
There can be other debilitating outcomes: loss of limbs, hearing, brain damage, epilepsy, scarring and psychological trauma. Parents can elect to get the B strain vaccine, but it's costly.
For some families, this can be $600 upwards. And in today's economic environment, most people just can't afford it.
Johanna says for the government, it's a small price to pay.
Knowing what a horrible disease it is and the catastrophic consequences that this disease can have to people.
If you consider it's $10 million on average per disability, you're 1 in 4 end up with a permanent disability, you're 1 in 10 with a death. You do the maths, just like Queensland did last year, they save a lot of money.
The Northern Territory government is considering adding the vaccine. New South Wales wants the federal government to add it to the national program, while Victoria, Tasmania and Western Australia say due to low case numbers, they follow health advice regarding expansion of the vaccination program in their states. Pamela Medlin, ABC News.
The former Soviet country of Georgia is in the grips of an historic child trafficking scandal believed to have spanned more than half a century. It's estimated tens of thousands of babies were taken from hospitals at birth and sold on the black market for big sums of money. Europe correspondent Kathleen Diss travelled to Georgia to speak with victims who are searching for their families decades later.
Look like the same. Especially with the red scarves on our heads. We have same style of clothing, but not now. Not now.
Anna Padjulidze and Elena Diazedza look identical, but until recently they didn't even know each other existed. They grew up in different families in cities 2 hours apart.
The first emotion was that we were looking in the mirror. Yeah.
After connecting on social media, they both confronted their parents, who confirmed they were adopted. They believe they're twin sisters who were separated at birth.
We're the same weight, same height, we have the same eye shape, and I don't know, we look like each other so much. Also, before Anna made the plastic surgery on her nose,
I was like that.
Yeah, she was exactly like me. That's why we think we're the sisters, especially twins.
They then found a Facebook page that was reuniting adopted children with their biological parents. That's when they realised they were likely victims of a child trafficking scandal which spanned half a century.
We found out that it was systemic, and we found out that there are more than 100,000 children stolen in Georgia's hospitals.
Anna's adopted mother confirmed she paid $3,500 for her in 2005. Back then, that was enough to buy a small apartment in Georgia.
The scandal wasn't just happening in Tbilisi, it was all over the country. We're heading 2 hours east of the capital now to meet a mother who was told that her twin boys died.
Irina Otarashvili delivered twin boys in 1978. She thought she took their bodies home in a suitcase. They buried it and never looked inside. More than 4 decades later, her daughters stumbled across the same Facebook page as Anna and Elena.
We dug up the grave and there was absolutely nothing in it except these tiny sticks.
The family says police told them there were no human remains inside.
I was shocked. They stole my children from me. I could not even imagine a doctor could steal a child and sell it and tell the mother the child has died. I want to find my children because I don't want them to think they were abandoned by their mother.
I don't.
Local journalist Tumuna Mutsuretse exposed the story after discovering in 2016 that she had 2 birth certificates. She later found out she too had been adopted.
We believe that in this crime organization there were people involved, from the taxi driver to the people from government.
She set up the Facebook page, which has reunited 700 families. To investigate the scheme, she teamed with human rights lawyer Leah Mushalaria. They believe doctors, nurses, politicians and taxi drivers were all behind it, each getting paid for selling the children.
It was pretty clear that it was a kind of well-structured illegal business in this country.
Leah is bringing civil cases to Georgian courts to try and change laws to make it easier for adopted children to find their biological parents. The Georgian government didn't respond to the ABC's questions.
I don't know what you think.
Anna and Elena want to find their biological parents.
We want to know who are we? Who are our parents? Are we like our mother or father?
They're taking a test to confirm they share DNA. Are you nervous?
Yes. We're so nervous, but I think we're the 100% the twin sisters. I don't know, we have the feeling that we know each other for all our lives.
For now, they're just catching up on lost time. Catherine Diss, ABC News, Georgia.
A ship attacked by Yemen's Houthi rebels has sunk in the Red Sea after days of taking on water. No crew members were killed in the attack on the Rubimar. All were evacuated safely before the ship sunk. It's the first vessel to be lost as part of the rebels' campaign over Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza. There are concerns the shipwreck could create an environmental catastrophe with its load of nearly 40,000 tonnes of fertiliser now submerged. Concerns of espionage in Germany are rising after Russian media published an audio recording purporting to contain German military officials discussing weapons for Ukraine. The recording includes details of how German-made Taurus cruise missiles could be used in the fight against Russia, including potential strike targets. German authorities are investigating whether the recording is authentic, and the country's chancellor is promising answers soon.
What has been reported is a very serious matter, and therefore this will be investigated very carefully, very intensively, and very quickly. That's necessary.
To the NRL, and over 40,000 fans packed into Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas to catch the season's double header. Up first, the Manly Sea Eagles beat the South Sydney Rabbitohs 36-24 in an entertaining high-scoring match. Up 12-10 at the half, the Sea Eagles led in 2 quick tries after the break, but missed conversions from Latrell Mitchell kept the margin within reach. Manly then scored 4 unanswered tries, pulling away from the Rabbits to take the season opener comfortably. In the second match, Sydney Roosters down to last year's finalists, the Brisbane Broncos, 2010. In a cagey affair, both teams scored in spectacular fashion, with the Roosters maintaining a slender lead throughout the contest. The Tricolours held on, going on to earn a rare opening round victory. In tennis, Australian Alex de Minaur has won the Mexican Open for a second straight year. De Minaur, who's currently the world number 9 ranked male player, won 6-4, 6-4 in a straight sets victory over Norwegian Casper Ruud in the final. It's de Minaur's 8th ATP Tour singles title. Spinner Nathan Lyon took 10 wickets for the match as Australia defeated New Zealand by 172 runs in the first test in Wellington. Chasing 369 for victory, the Black Caps offered little resistance on day 4 as Australia took a 1-0 lead in the 2-test series.
He's a swing at that. It's been 31 years since New Zealand has beaten Australia in a test at home, and the wait continues.
And Australia have won it quite convincingly in the end.
I've had some success against them over the years in Test cricket, and great to get a great start here.
A pitch that had started the game as a pace bowler's dream turned into a nightmare for batters facing Nathan Lyon.
Head on the pads and gone.
The veteran spinner finished with a match haul of 10 wickets for the 5th time in his career.
And that one will not go far enough.
I already told him the day he retires, I'm definitely giving up the captaincy because it makes my life a hell of a lot easier.
He's always under pressure in the 4th innings and he always seems to stand up and perform, so yeah, he bowled beautifully.
Green was named man of the match for his career best knock in the first innings.
He was amazing. He was really the difference in the end. You look at the trend of the game. I think the next highest score was about 50 or 60, and he's obviously put on 170 odd, not out.
After letting opportunities slip in this test, New Zealand is optimistic that it can level the series.
We'll reflect on this, we'll debrief it and obviously move to a different surface, a ground that we've had a lot of success at.
The second and final test starts on Friday in Christchurch. Duncan Huntsdale, ABC News.
The defending Formula One world champion Max Verstappen has opened the new season with a win at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The Dutch driver crossed the line 22 seconds clear of Sergio Perez in a 1-2 finish for Red Bull. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz finished third for Ferrari. Australia's Oscar Piastri came in 8th for McLaren, and Daniel Ricciardo was 13th quickest. On the satellite, cloud is scattering across the top of the country. An area of convective cloud in central and the south of Western Australia is caused by a surface trough. On the synoptic, strong winds behind a front are bringing showers to Tasmania. Highs are keeping southern South Australia, Victoria and Queensland dry. Looking around the country for Monday, showers and storms in Queensland's east with mostly sunny and very warm temperatures inland. To New South Wales and the ACT, cool to mild conditions in the east with showers in the northeast, mostly sunny elsewhere. It'll be mostly sunny in Victoria's south with sunny and warm temperatures in the north. To Tasmania, cool and mostly sunny conditions across the state with a windy day on the highlands. To South Australia, mostly sunny and warm in the southeast, mostly cloudy for the rest of the state. Clearing showers and mild to warm temperatures in the south of Western Australia and mostly sunny in the northwest. Showers over the Kimberleys and top of the Northern Territory, mostly sunny and hot over the interior and mostly cloudy in the south. Looking ahead to Tuesday's forecast for the capital cities, a possible shower for Brisbane, mostly sunny in Sydney, some fog, then sunshine for Canberra. Melbourne will be sunny, mostly cloudy in Hobart. A sunny day for Adelaide. Perth will be mostly sunny and a possible thunderstorm for Darwin with a top of 33. That's the latest from ABC News. Remember, you can keep up to date at news.abc.net.au and on ABC iView. I'm Meredith Sheehan. Stay with us. Foreign Correspondent is coming up next.
Visit the Caribbean island